Hey y'all. So, welcome to my 8 o'clock show of Dreamstock, streaming on Pod TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. My name is Shanice, and I'm my own media team. I'm my own stylist. I'm my own individual who has very little materialistic values. I don't have a lot of need for much of anything. I'm a simple person with an interesting personality. And many, many years ago, I had a dream. I've told it a lot of times. I was a little girl that was paying attention to game shows and soap operas, like most kids my age in the 90s. And I looked at my grandmother one day and I said, Mama, what are the sponsors? I knew what they were. I knew that sponsors gave money in exchange for advertising. I thought she was going to say something frivolous, like they pay for the commercials, or, these are the big shots. Instead, she put her hand on her hip and she said, That's where the money is. Well, we didn't have a lot of money, but I had seen people who had money. My grandmother worked at the hospital. My godfather was the principal at the town high school. So money seemed like something that gave them a peace I didn't always have. Things sometimes seemed chaotic when there was money involved. I was putting one and two together, and my grandmother was coming up with 4, 5, 6 million ways to choose one. And I realized that the conversation was pretty serious to me, apparently, because we talked seriously about my personality. She was like, Shanice, you can get on TV. Well, I'm 8 years old. I mean, my grandmother's telling me I can get on TV and I'm going to make all this money, but what was I going to do with the money? My grandmother had what I would consider like a safe house where the community would come in and they would be there for whatever reason. And two houses up the street from me, my neighbors are from Mexico. It feels like home. And a lot of the gatherings were with family, but like it was open. Anybody could come to mama's house. So I wanted to get all this money so I could help my family forever and ever, amen. And other people. It just seemed so simple when I was little. And it didn't help that I actually got on television. And it seemed very possible I could get on television for a few reasons. I was in a yearbook in 1979. From my birth, my family had been taking pictures of me. I had been in front of the camera. My mother was a seamstress. I had custom clothes, as theatrical as my imagination is. A lot of things that many people might look at as a peasant position. My mother is a seamstress. To me, mommy is a designer. She even made the outfit that I wore in my Sweet 16. I don't live a big life. I live a simple life that's big. So what happens? I get on TV and I'm having a good time and life is great. And I go to high school and I'm in the yearbook a lot and I'm doing things. Life is great. And I go to college and something shifts. I decide I want to be a wife and mother. I like that life. I'd also seen some things in the entertainment industry that I just didn't approve of. They didn't match my family values. In high school, I was asked to dance in the R. Kelly concert for an opening act, and I declined. I said, I don't dance anymore, I'll choreograph. And there was something about it. I just did not feel comfortable. I had every reason in the world. I had 6 million reasons to dance in that concert, but something said, Shanice, do not dance in that concert. I've seen R. Kelly in concert a bunch of times, but I really believe the Holy Spirit spoke to me and I made a good decision by not dancing in an R. Kelly concert because I was gonna take him from Aaliyah. Yep. He gonna be my boyfriend forever. I was gonna stay right there. What you doing? We boyfriend and girlfriend in the 10th grade. So there's certain things about me that I will just really seriously take seriously. So the announcement that I made earlier today, thanking God for my life because I have been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in the lining of my lungs, and we will not be able to cure this cancer with chemotherapy. At the end of my 6 treatments that will happen 21 days apart, I will then have the opportunity to review my medical condition to decide if radiation is a solution. Now, a lot of people have asked me a lot of questions, and I'm going to answer some of them. The first question is, why am I just now telling everybody? Well, the answer is, wait till Tasha gets on here. Tasha. Hello. Hello. We have some friends who may be joining us too. Um, let's see. Y'all remember Tasha? Let me introduce Tasha to everybody. See, when you're your own camera crew, you can do whatever you want. You know I like that. All right. Well, hey y'all. I am so glad you had time to pop in with me today, Tasha, on Dreamstock. Y'all, I'm gonna be putting this onto my show tonight. So, welcome, Tasha. Hi. Y'all, Tasha is my friend that I met last year. And we did a live like the other day, and I'm not really sure how many people got to see it because I have social anxiety. So a lot of people don't know that about me. And recently I've been using some new coping skills, and Tasha's been with me when I've done what I call a glowometry. I posted a glowometry. It was a written glowometry, but sometimes I do just break out into like these weird, like poetic productions as I'm explaining something. So with Tasha being here next to me, I feel like it would be nice to introduce what a glowometry is. Glow a tree, pronounced glowometry, is a poetic expression that allows me to be creative and sincere in nature. And so, Tasha, I'm going to describe you through glowometry. Okay. All right. So, y'all, let me just be real clear about how all this happened. I met this young lady because she was my Uber driver. As I was walking down the driveway, the sun was beaming in her face. She was real tiny, and I was like, she's driving because she's either new to Raleigh or she just needs to take care of her kids. And she's not a strong driver. And I open the door, and what I say to you,
Are you ready to become a millionaire?
I only said that because I was concerned that she might get in a car accident and it wouldn't be her fault because she's probably real cautious when she drives with somebody else in the car. And we were literally talking about it. She was like, "No, I'm a great driver when somebody's in the car." And she really is, especially if she knows where she's going. I never have any fear when I'm riding with her. But when she did get in a car accident, because I knew it was coming, was I in the car?
No,
Yeah,
of
because
course not.
I am terrified of driving. I flipped over two cars. I've been in a head-on collision, and sometimes I just completely forget that there was a really, really bad accident right off of a main thoroughfare that gets me into the city. But fortunately, I take a lot of back roads and I spend a lot of time in town. And a lot of that time I have been spending with my friend Tasha. Tasha has been with me almost a year, caring for me as a CNA at times and being a Uber driver for the kids. But then she had her own life that she really, really, really allowed me to share. If you don't mind, because we've done a lot of it. Okay, a lot of it has been aired at different times. During homecoming, I was very fatigued. At the time, I didn't know I had cancer, but I was glad that I listened to my body because my immune system is really low, y'all. We did what was called housecoming. And I told Tasha, I said, we need to give people an update on how things went with housecoming. Well, you want to give the people the update? I like to tap you into my poetry.
The update has been I wanted to thank everybody that had supported me during that time. Unfortunately, but not unfortunately, I did lose that. I did leave that apartment. I lost that apartment, and through some community resources, I was able to get housing for my family.
You got other stuff too.
I also, yeah, I did. I got a new car.
You got something way more important than all those things, though. You built a support system that
Mm-hmm.
helped you. You got stable employment.
Mm-hmm.
Have a support system of friend groups and different
Yes.
spaces. Sometimes I hang out with y'all. It's so
Mm-hmm.
nice to see you have a very, very, very wonderful support system, but the beginning is you. Like I've seen you really blossom and grow, and in all of that, you had time to help take care of me. And so at this time, I'd like to thank you publicly because some nights, some days when I was really, really sick, you were rubbing my back, you were making sure that I didn't fall off too hard when it came to the kids. And we're going to talk about a lot of what you observed. But before that, I wanted to make sure I sincerely and seriously thanked you because my children have been serving as my nurse's aide for 2 years. We have been making it the best we could for 2 years. And that's why the diagnosis, I tell everybody, I said, if everybody knew how hard it was before, then they would have a different understanding of how good it is now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why you should praise God through it all.
Mm-hmm.
I fall off from that
Oh, yeah.
though. I do. And what I'm learning is, I see what he does for everybody else. I'm praising for everybody else. This has really forced me to see how much praise is available just for what he did for me. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times when you start looking at that, you start kind of chasing it a little bit. And the cool thing is that's why friend groups are important.
Mm-hmm.
You the family structure, then the friend group, then the community. And I feel like we really honestly and truly have bonded, even though, like you said, it is unfortunate anytime someone has cancer. In my case, I'm praying that it's going to bless a lot of people, Tasha.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I'm waiting for the miracle because It is. Honestly, bless a lot of people.
The miracles already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for it. We've experienced the miracle. What we're going to do now
But
is
it's,
see the
it's
work.
always so much
Yeah, yeah. I'm back at work. I'm like, woo, I'm back at Lord. I was on a leave of absence. He told me, be still and know that
more.
I am God.
Absolutely.
We're bringing on a guest. Here she is. Hey, Nicole, how did I do telling everyone what happened to me?
I mean, good God, it was in true Niecy fashion. I mean, it would not have been you if it wasn't like a whole like, God, what the hell is going on? Is this gonna happen today? Like, is it today? What are we gonna do? And she's wrapped in her badoo with her bamboos, with her lipstick, her light skinned friend sitting next to her praying and things. Look at I mean, Jesus on the main line. I think he heard y'all tell him what you wanted. Wanted to do it. That baby when they put on a lip. Is that even the lip for your kind of cancer? Is that even the damn color? Stop stealing other people's cancer lipstick. You not got no breast cancer. Why you got on pink lipstick? Ain't it like green for the lungs or something?
We need to find that out. We need to find that out so we could.
And you know what? The whole time you were frozen. Because we couldn't even take the voice and the facial expression. So when I tell you it is a total praise party over here. Yes, God.
I mean, if people knew you, they would know that you are a blessing in and of itself. Like just to know you and to know your resilience. I think that you made a very valid point when you said, your thing is not to harm. You feel like it's gonna bless people, and having gone down the rabbit hole of the various challenges in my life, that all you have is faith sometimes. All you have is that 1 5 minutes. So I think that as your journey proceeds and you go with God, what happens is he redefines your purpose. And oftentimes most people think like, I have to take 440 to get where I'm going, or I have to take 540 to get where I'm going. Well, essentially they both get you to Durham.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell everybody how this all happened to me. And you ladies jump in whenever. So, the way I look at it is this: death is the closest you'll get during childbirth. I've had 4 kids. My mom used to say this to me all the time. There's a certain frequency to everything that happens when it comes to me. I'm a rhythmic learner. Mm-hmm. This is a term I recently found out. I have a behavioral specialist team. I got tired of getting in trouble all the time when I literally was like, I promise this is what I'm supposed to do based on my belief system and knowledge, not just what I hear God say to me. Many times he's put me in a position so I can know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Nicole, working in the bank, they train us to understand perceived and unperceived needs. Why would I not know the needs of my own body?
Absolutely.
Whenever I'm deficient in anything, my body knows how to tune into nature's frequency. My body naturally craved raisins, blueberries, beets. I would eat these things like for dinner, breakfast, and it became a point where I started to realize I was losing weight. Well, I read that eating a handful of blueberries a day teaches your body to burn fat rather than store it. So blueberries are a consistent part of my diet. However, I started losing weight like 12 pounds in 2 weeks. My doctor said, no, you're doing fine. I said, okay. When I came back and had a 12-pound weight loss, that was when she started to look at me like, we need to start running some different tests.
Mhm.
They started running a lot of tests, but my health wasn't getting better because we had no diagnosis and new symptoms started up. So once I had to go to the emergency room because I had shortness of breath, but I had no pain. I knew I couldn't breathe right. When I asked the doctor, I said, is it in my head? He said, no. I can tell something is wrong with you. I can look at your labs. Don't let anybody tell you it's in your head. The road to discovery just may be long. I said, okay, I'm listening to that. Well, when I would go back to my regular doctor, she started being extremely worried. Her frequency changed, almost like she wanted to tell me, your life is in danger. Well, I took the frequency to heart and started working on my heart. I started meditating and praying and realized that I had to do some physical work with this too. I was a saxophone player and I'm a strong swimmer. So during my youth, breathing was a big part of everything that I did. So I started breath work and I enjoyed it and I always had. So I just did it. Ultimately, between COVID and a serious virus that I got in December of 2023, something was pushing and pulling inside of my chest cavity, and I was having unfamiliar pain that I could not explain. And then next thing I know, I started experiencing fatigue. Now, fatigue set in, and it was here for about 2 years. I could break away from it and do something, and it was kind of like, I need some more vitamin D, or, all I kept telling them was, I'm tired, but this is fatigue. When the big virus hit in 2023, I laid down and I felt like I never got up for like 5 months. Um, in April of this year, on my birthday, I was laying in this room and a young lady took a picture of me and talked about the impact I've made on her life. She said she cried looking at me, thinking about her own life. And I just kept saying, I gotta find out what's wrong with me. I gotta fix this because I can't have young women looking at my health decline in my 40s. I've been go, 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 go my whole life. And now I'm gonna sit down. So I said, well, we're back to praying. So during that time, Cole and Tasha, my house was in foreclosure. They were supposed to sell my house on April 10th. They were supposed to also sell it on February 8th. They was also supposed to sell it in June of 2023. But God told me I was not going to lose my house. So I never worried about money, food. We just had to figure it out. I never worked because my body wasn't capable of doing it. And the long-term disability did not approve my request for an appeal. I actually talked about it on my birthday in a letter I wrote. But on April 10th, when I called and they said the bank had canceled the sale of my loan, the sale of my property, I wish they canceled the loan, but I knew there was a protection over my life, and all I had to do was surrender. So I did. I said, I surrender. I wrote it to somebody. I surrender. I took a picture of the car. And when I got in the car on the day we went and got me his prom dress, when I said, oh, I surrendered. I surrendered. And the Lord put me under a test. The first time he had put me under arrest, I surrendered. I wasn't gonna go back to work. Nicole, how much do I love work?
Good Lord, it's your life. It was what defined you back when we were in our 20s and our 30s. You gave all of yourself. And then in that time in your life, you had a lot of things going on, and we had a manager that kind of molded us into workaholics. And then for you, Shanice, you've always been such an overachiever. Like, You're such a
I'm
perfectionist in
not
a good
an
way.
overachiever. I'm an aligner.
Uh, mm,
I don't have to be.
no,
I don't have to be number
I
one. I
don't.
don't know why anybody thinks I want that.
I don't think you want that. I think that is what you were predestined for.
Right. I'm
Sometimes,
an aligner. I'm trying to
sometimes
line up because I ain't trying to work too. You know, I need a nap right now.
Sometimes God aligns you in a way that you're a leader even when you don't want to be.
Yes.
You champion things even when you don't feel like you have the strength. I remember when
Yes.
my daughter was in seventh grade, and I raised her way different from the way I grew up, and she was having this moment. And my child, if anyone's listening, is a lot like Nisi, and she just busts out and she goes, "Pain is relative. It could be a divorce for me. It could be murder for you. I mean, it's relative." And so, um, I
I
internalized
probably
that.
I probably taught her that statement exactly. That was,
But you've been impacting lives for forever, and so I think that having your girlfriend sit with you, and I also believe that there is a blessing in the diagnosis, right? Because oftentimes we will look at that diagnosis and believe it to be a death sentence or believe it to be in some form of punishment. But think of all of the people who don't get diagnosed. Think of all the people who don't get a chance. Think of all of the people who didn't take time with God and ask Him, Lord, just a little bit more, And so when you're doing that, you have to see the blessing in it from the beginning. We oftentimes
I
like to
didn't.
start in the middle.
I didn't see the blessing. I did not see the blessing in the beginning, right? I surrendered and I expected God to just be like, here's your diagnosis. Girl, that is not what happened. No. I surrendered, and when I tell you, when they talk about the energy shift, some people call it the attack of the enemy. Some people call it.
They be giving that enemy too much credit.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. There was the energy shift. When I surrendered, I shifted. So when I shifted cold, the people that were not supposed to be a part of this at any part of the whole part. When I tell you God came in and was like,
But I mean,
and here's what it sounded like. Here's what it sounded like. You can go over your mama and daddy house, or you can come to my house. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna do what you said you was gonna do. And I said, I better leave all these other things and people that's mad at me. I better get
though,
down.
that's a
Hold
lie.
on. I was like, I better align myself with some people that truly love me and understand me and know that I would never do anything to hurt anyone, especially anything that would really get me in trouble. And that sometimes I misunderstand and I make mistakes. And that's probably always going to be a problem for me. But the receiver may not have to deal with all of that if they understand me and they're mature. And God said, well, you act like don't nobody get you but me. So, right now you might have to come to my house if you surrender under arrest. And I said, no, Lord, I surrender under a test. I want to get out here and I want to work for you. And I'm telling you, Nicole, the way in which my life just was like, I went to the doctor. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all real quick how it happened. So once I surrendered, I went to my neighbor. I said, hey, I ain't seen you in a long time. And she said, girl, just at that hospital. I said, well, let me ask you something. I've been having chest pains and shortness of breath, but I know it's not a heart attack. She said, if you don't have swelling, and this is symptoms, that's what people have been asking me about, I talked about the roots and the berries already, and I talked about the breathing, but let me tell you about the current day, like what happened in the past 45 days with Shanice. So the cardiac nurse, the alignment of it all, she said, if you don't have swelling, wait till your appointment. My appointment was May 3rd, my parents' anniversary. I walked in and I felt uncomfortable, but I was dog tired. She took my vitals, my blood pressure was like 134, 80. She says you can sit in the chair. Yo, I pulled that table out, I laid down. The doctor came in, she said, would you like to sit in the chair? I said, no, I want to lay right here. And I said, oh, I know that's strange, but I am fatigued. She heard my symptoms. She said, I think I need to send you to the doctor. I said, you do. I'm a Black woman that nobody's listening to in my family and friend circle, taking me seriously. There are some people. There really are. I said, my doctors believe me, but you do. You need to send me to the ER right now. And so when the ER cardiologist came in, he was so nice. I told him, I said, reference bedside manner, because I was thinking to myself, call Tasha, tell him I was going upstairs. This was done. I had surrendered. I knew my diagnosis was in there. And so he said, your EKG lab, stress test, your CAT scan is clear. We're going to discharge you. Yo, but he said, your heart is fine. Your heart is fine. But we found something. And we're all surprised. I was like, now this is terrible acting, but keep going. And so he said, we can tell you're an athlete, your heart rate is in the 40s, but there's a 4 by 6 mass in your chest. We have to admit you immediately. I said, woo, give me the labor and delivery dinner. They said, what you? I said, give me some graham crackers, a cup of ice water, and a ginger ale. Because I hadn't eaten all day. So they get me upstairs, girl, the oncologist comes in. I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing here? Who did who called the oncologist for 239? So it was so shocking that the chaplain was in there.
Oh, gee.
And,
Oh,
yeah,
no, I had to get
Lord,
up.
no, Shani. Okay, y'all getting the true story. Nobody's ever gotten a true story. It's true story time. Bella's over there making me tell the story the true way. So I was talking to the chaplain, and the oncologist comes in. And then I start replaying back in my mind when the nurse said, you don't have an acute case. We'll have someone for the cancer team be a support system to get all of your appointments.
Oh, all right.
Who called the cancer support
And when
team
y'all
for
test me for
239?
cancer? Hold on, wait a minute.
You need to take them kinds of precautions. What are y'all?
Like, I ain't get a pre-warning. Like, with the internal, they gonna come in and then he gonna hold his hand and say, "Let me introduce you." He just gonna come in and introduce. I feel violated. It won't even make.
Yeah, that's why y'all got. I called some people to say I don't want you to. No, y'all are getting it the way I got it. Oncology 239. I was like, who is this?
I can't wait.
So the oncologist, he said, no, the chaplain said, do you want me to leave? I said, no, you stay right here. You can stay. And so he said, I don't know what brought you in here, if it was God or the universe, but we are glad you are here. And it was like a whirlwind because I couldn't argue I had been very attentive to God in this season, and I knew He had revealed to me what was inside of me. This is not one of those the Lord told me to tell you kind of stories. No, this is the sign into my chart, and you can see that there's something abnormal in my lungs. Well, okay, it can be abnormal in my lungs. You know what? That ain't nothing but a little overgrowth. Those my regular cells is what I'm thinking. So they had me in the hospital Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they said that we're gonna discharge you, and you have a biopsy tomorrow. And I was like, don't discharge me, don't do it. Well, they did, and I needed to be back at the hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning, but they canceled my biopsy. Wednesday, I get a call. Can you come in Friday? I said, who changed? The doctor. He said, get that woman back in here immediately. She is in excruciating pain. And I really appreciated that. I really did. Here's what happened though. The emergency room on Wednesday. I mean, on Thursday. And I very, very wonderful ex-husband took me, and when I was discharged, I didn't have anybody to call to pick me up. So I had to sleep in the waiting room of the emergency room. And it was the first time that I realized I was not prepared to care for myself. I don't have a support system that is currently capable of pitching in the way that I need. It's not me, it's not the people I love, I don't have strong internal relationships with women. My strong internal relationships are with men. And so waking up in the ER waiting room and hearing the receptionist saying, there she is. I said, let her sleep, she tired. I said, oh, I love being at the hospital. My grandmother was a nurse, and I, unfortunately, it's true. I have a lot of female friends. I'm tomboy who's trying to be a tom girl. Tasha and I talk about this all the time. We're trying to, get a little femininity into us. But it's hard. I don't feel safe with most of the men around here that are single, not talking to like my friends. So I don't date. I'm trying to really just focus on me. I'm in my season and era of the lioness, and where are my strong Black women? And they're asking me what it is that I need now. But then I couldn't even imagine I needed anything because this biopsy happened so fast. So I ended up walking over to the main area of the hospital, and I see everybody in there with their families getting prepped for surgery. I went outside, I took my shoes off, I grounded, hugged the tree. Thank God for saving me. And then doctors, nurses, they asking me questions. I had to call Tasha so she could pick me up. They wouldn't give me the message. Come to find out, this is not a procedure. This feels like surgery. I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. And I'm by myself. And so, Cole, when Tasha picked me up, I was just pretty much like,
You were like kind of halfway, like just out of it, like drained.
Yes. And all I remember is my baby has to go get her hair done. And so immediately after this procedure, I end up riding with her to get her everything for prom. And then the next day she has prom and a party. So Nia wins prom princess the day after all of this.
Congrats, beautiful.
Yes, and so deserving. And then she has a party at the house. And it feels like everything that I ever wanted to do is happening, and I can't be a part of it because I'm sick. And, and it felt like every time I tried to bring people together and I wanted to do it, and I couldn't do it because I felt sick. And then Tasha took a picture of me, and what happened in the picture, Tasha?
You disappeared.
How did it go?
What do you mean?
Like the pictures, like each of the,
Oh yeah, it was almost like you disappeared and then you reappeared, but like in a phase.
it was 3 different pictures where it was like all you could see was my energy force.
Wow.
And then you could see me, and in the next, I looked like a picture from the art museum I had taken of Mia when she was little. And she was standing, and the woman is just, she's just spent. Everything within me was spent. I was just such an open, easy vessel. You could have done anything. And then that's when I started feeling the attacks. That's when I started being confused about, where do I go with this information? And the only thing I could focus on was everything that had gone wrong. I was like, I was scared. I lived here on earth because we didn't feel safe. I was worried about somebody I offended while I was trying to fix cancer. I was moving to every state. I had a plan, all because I was grieving. I've been grieving. I told the kids, Nia's mom is dying. Nia's mom is a woman who wanted to be a wife and mother. And because I do not have a husband and I do not have close relationships, I can't be Nia's mom. I'm going to have to be a grown woman in order to get through this situation. I can't look at it through the eyes of being a mother or a wife, because when they called me and gave me my diagnosis, I didn't have a phone at the time, so I couldn't look up what they were saying, but my knowledge now is pretty comfortable with my feelings. They told me that I had a carcinoma cancer, so a cancer that's usually on the skin, and then it can move to the organs, the lining of the organs. It usually happens after cancer has affected another organ, and then the lining will become cancerous. So if you're taking into consideration that path, typically people have a very short life expectancy. My reading tells me this is extremely rare for someone to simply have a carcinoma cancer in their lining. And because I've taken great measures to, which instinctively happen, slow down some things in my body, my blood flow, the type of food that I eat, the way I sleep, the way I did not go to work. Now that was a source of contention for everybody but me, because being Nia's mother and Sean's mother, Cole, can you imagine? I was with my kids. I remember one time somebody asked me, they were like, well, what's your title? What do you do? I had given up banking. I wasn't really feeling being in politics, and I wasn't a talk show host. I just was on the talk shows. And I said, I know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. They was like, this, you can't, that's not what I was thinking to myself, totally what I'm doing. And to give my children those hours so that I didn't pursue my job, my work, and my labor of this place, so that I could preserve my body and my mind, so that I could truly serve God before I extend myself to Him to go to life after earth.
So, question: how do you center yourself daily with being a person at your age, having this cancer diagnosis, an extremely rare diagnosis, and being an African American woman? How do you center yourself?
I found a lot of joy in putting order to my life. Like, cancer came at a time when I was on the verge of launching my company and structure was important. So, being the person that I am, I, I, I love order. I love it. You know, I will tell anybody I'm good at the parts I'm good at doing. So, I'm also open to connect with other light forces that want to serve a greater good and understand exactly who they are and what they can and cannot do. Unfortunately, I have a keen sense for people. I've turned some of that off. I did. I had to. Every time I got an inkling that somebody wasn't all the way right, sometimes I just decided, you know what? I'm here for a human experience. What you got?
But I think that's so important because oftentimes, at least for me, it's like you've already gone through that hard part, and that's that initial diagnosis, right? And it's like now I'm watching you, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name, Tasha, in harmony right now, and so I feel like. And I don't know if you guys would agree, but God is taking your pain and He's turning it into power. He's turning it into purpose.
Yes, yes. And it wasn't the diagnosis call as much as it was
The
the journey
journey.
prior.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm trying to be delicate with people because I kind of see it like this. Somebody gets their hair done and you say to them, girl, I love your hair. No, you need to thank the hairstylist. I have stage 4 cancer and I took care of myself for 2 years. Girl, how was it? You need to thank God. I'm still alive.
And it's
So,
so funny because they want to ask you how was it, not realizing that no matter what they call the God of their understanding, that it was God. Like you didn't even know what was in roaming around in your body. It's like me. If you know me, you know you ain't gonna slap me and I'm not gonna slap you back. So I can't imagine you just knowing cancer around slapping your shit out of you. Look, you know what I'm saying? And you like, oh, I'm just gonna let this go. You won. You know what I'm saying? But in that moment, God was in there and He was fighting that battle, and that's
yes.
one of His promises of how He will get in with us. Because all the times when you think about lung cancer and its life expectancy based off what you've told me, you already outlived it. You
I
understand?
did.
So when people are
Yeah.
looking at you, they need to start looking in you.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, Terry told me, Nisi, May 3rd was your birthday. And I'm telling you, I had to really like start telling a lot of people, yo, whatever you think is not what it is over here. This is so serious. Because Nicole, when I started getting appointments, appointment for this, appointment for that, come in for this, come in for that. Every 2 to 3 days, I was on the phone with somebody. I was in an office, and I didn't know what to do when I got that information, like the stuff that needs to come in. So I didn't have a phone. I have no money, and so I
But you know
have.
what? Excuse me for cutting you off. The
Yeah.
hardest part as I sit here and I think about your journey, and I just want to say this to myself and to all of us that we have to stop looking at people and judging them off of the behaviors that we've learned, especially with being African Americans. So when you were around here feeling fatigue, people instantaneously went to something's wrong with her, or she's lazy, or she's crazy, or she's not doing what they do. But those are people that claim again the God of their understanding, and He said, "Judge not." And He also gave us all a day of rest. So I ask myself oftentimes when I say people should look in you, they should look in you and understand that there was a battle being fought on your behalf when no one even know what to fight for.
Yeah, it was like, Nicole, I just could not afford to give myself credit for not going to work because, Nicole, I really physically was I could not do it. I would tell people I'm sick, I don't feel good. It just kind of was like, okay,
So tell us
well,
what your daily diet looks like now. Like what is your like a what does a day of nutrients look like for Shanice?
what's hard because I don't have a taste for food.
Okay.
So I can also forget to eat.
And how long have you
And
not had that taste for food?
oh man, that's going on 2.5, 3 years.
Okay.
Just that was a huge symptom that we attributed to a release of lipase from my pancreas. Lipase is, completely separate. People with pancreas, and a lot of times they think diabetes, but lipase is an enzyme that helps break down your digestive tract. And you can eat all you want, and the lipase doesn't break down your nutrients, so you would still end up losing weight. I went through a season of that. And a lot of things that were just happening in my body, I believe what was going on is, so scientifically, when you get goosebumps and the hairs raise on your arm, it's the blood rushing away from any organ that is not vital for life. And I believe that my body was really trying to fight with cancer. And so when nutrients were going to my lungs and I had shortness of breath, I might have been missing out on something in my pancreas. My cycle stopped for like 4 or 5 months. Everything in me, I believe, was working to either welcome these cells or prepare them that time instead of find you, and then you're gotta go, buddy. And so when I talk about fixing cancer, God fights my cancer. And as a result, I prayed, I was like, God, I do not want to have to have surgery. And fortunately, I want to get the report and the law. So fortunately, I don't have to have surgery. I was tickled because when my commissioner, my county commissioner took me to my first appointment because I have been applauding them that we have quality resources and I was able to not work. We lived in poverty. We did. We ate food from, shelters, and I was acting like it was top shelf. And
Absolutely
it was,
though.
yeah, me and the kids, talked about it. And then Mia just told me from Facebook that mommy it's hard. And that was when I really surrendered. I was like, yo, my baby can't live like this. I have to figure out what it is that I do. So, you know, the people that are like here with me, they got me, they'll come through, I'll call them, they there. I'm not talking about people who love me. I'm talking about people who genuinely said, Shanice, you're gonna be okay, and I'm gonna help you until you figure it out, and I'm not gonna ask you any questions. If y'all let you borrow money, get it back to me, get it back to me. If you say you're gonna take care of something, take care of it when you get around to it. I'm talking about these kinds of people that understood me and also had an overflow that they could share. Not everybody has that kind of love or time or money. And my banker, I get that. So I'm sitting in the waiting area because my commissioner had to go negotiate our budget. So I got this I'm excited, right? This is banking and oncology. At it again for no reason. I'm just confused now. I'm in a poetry. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm hearing about myself. I'm probably a terrible person if nobody's even gonna be here. And then I looked and my line said that one. I thought to myself, the blessings of the Lord my sisterhood showed up for me big on that day. And it's like everybody can't be all things. So the people who didn't show up for me, they were part of my lesson. The
But you
people,
also can say that they were a part of your alignment too, because they
yeah,
were there at that time without your knowledge. This was already predestined for you. But my next question for you is, from the time you did not have a diagnosis, what have you learned since having a diagnosis? If you could do something different, what questions would you ask in the beginning? What tests would you demand? Like, if a person, let's say their blood work was 100% right, but they know what they're feeling, they know that they're short of breath, they know that they're having heart palpitations, how would you empower them to know what to ask the doctors?
they need to get their immune system checked. We all need to find out how much does it cost, because my immune system is under 40%. If I had known that my immune system was going down, I would have, you said, what would I do? I would have praised God more. I didn't catch any other diseases from the few times I had the strength to go somewhere. I didn't catch anything from kids. I didn't catch anything when I was literally not able to keep my house clean. It's been very, very difficult to just think that one test, if we had seen that, may have sparked us, to say, we got to go figure out what's going on with your immune system.
That is something that need to be talked about more, is that the fact that the immune system is the biggest issue. A
Now,
lot of people that have different illnesses, it's not the actual illness that kills them, it's their immune system being weakened, and then they catch something else like hepatitis C, or something else attacks their immune system, and it's that actually kills them, as opposed to the cancer itself.
now, what would you, as a professional, as a friend, as an African American woman, what would you recommend for people when they're going for those yearly exams and they may feel something that's not quite right, or maybe there was a change, but you know how sometimes we were taught, oh girl, just go take some Tylenol. Oh, go just put some ice on it. Like, but and especially I don't know your age, but us women over 45, like how would you help, what would your advice be for us to be vigilant about these type of things?
Your body is always going to let you know when something is not right.
Okay.
A lot of people will as Black women ourselves, we take on so much and we do so much all the time that we have become immune to certain things. But when your body is telling you, hey, I'm tired, you need to get it checked out. Don't just sit around and be like, oh well, I'll take care of it another time. The longer you wait,
The more dormant.
the more of a chance that something else could be coming along.
The other thing I'll say is, post-COVID, we need to create a nap culture. They have been talking for years about a 15-minute nap and give you 4 hours of rejuvenation.
That's true.
Last night I started a sleep aid, y'all, and I took a half a pill because I love to sleep already. We were taught to rest our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't told it was lazy. It wasn't until I got around people with slave work
Mentality.
that it was really uncomfortable to even hear. I thought to myself, well, you need a nap too,
But it's so weird when they have that survival mentality, when they have that I have to go, and money becomes the primary focus of their lives. So those type of people aren't going to be your people. People who live by the spirit, or people who may have a much or may have little, but they're that same person with a lot or with a little.
I need somebody with balance, though. I don't need anybody that'll let me sleep all the time. You know, that's
Well,
not
I
my
don't think
problem.
nobody can let you sleep all the time because I mean, like, girl, we need a little ass. We need a love. We
Well,
need a
and
little
that's what the problem
encouragement.
is with me. People want to play with me, but when I get serious, Nicole, because last night was a serious moment when I took half of my sleep aid. Now, I have several medical teams. I have a team at Duke that helps me with resources. We're having a conference call tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I have my oncology team. I have a treatment team, as well as a behavioral team. So my behavioral team told me, they said sleep is very important. You need to allow your body to, regenerate during your overnight rest. My outer conscience is very active. I'm not talking about dreams. I'm talking about once I make up in my mind what I'm going to do the next day, I have the ability to compute while I rest, and this sleep aid helps simmer that. Now, it's also going to help with some of my ruminating thoughts because, again, you know, in this surrender, the first response is to try to go back and fix everything because I've been forgiven. Well, the earthlings may not forgive me, okay? All the earthlings that think they know what they know that don't know Jack are still out there. And what I will do is mistakenly believe that I can fix it before God. And some of it will just remain as is, but that doesn't mean I'm broken. And because this is a new journey of acceptance, sometimes I get a little caught up in forgetting I'm in a new birth situation. This is a new season, and this medicine is going to help me with change. I had to change. Yeah, I did a good job of ignoring people, but the problem is when I was in the hospital, my blood pressure was spiking. My blood pressure at one point was 192 over 90. It was 215 over 115. It was going out of control when I would get off the phone. The phone, I would talk less. It also kind of takes my breath away in a way. They don't have a lot for the pain. Although I have lung cancer, THCA, marijuana was an option for medicinal purposes, as well as a couple of different prescriptions that they offer, but I wasn't interested in them. I would not recommend going off on my doctors because they couldn't find it. My doctors did a good job. This thing was supposed to be there because I needed to slow down. I've been a vessel for 20 years in that bank, in this community, and I love, 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 love my family. We're a big family. That's something that I also found out. Some people think we're family, and we're not really not family at all. And people will welcome me into their lives. And I'm like, I didn't know we was going this hard for each other. Okay. And so I would normally meet those people where they are. In this new world, no, there's some selfishness going on. And what did you say about me, Tasha? I told Tasha, I said, we have a new client. Is it God, the new client, the person, or me? And who did you pick?
At first, I
Yeah.
said,
First you said God, and what did I say?
he said no.
Why?
Because God already has everything. He don't need our help.
So who is the next person? What did you choose?
Me.
Who did you choose? The client was.
The new client.
And I said, why would you pick a new client?
Because Niecy don't never do nothing for herself. And as long as I've known her, she's never done anything for herself.
I think, what do you, at this moment as we end, what would you like to give us and what can you or Tasha add to creating a community of engagement, hope, and understanding?
That was the whole 2 years rest and receive era of the lioness came to life. Some phenomenal women came into my world, and I am honored. This is, really what I call a semi-private experience affair. And what I would offer is building those strong relationships with people who were multi-layered, like you and me. Um, I encourage people to have that kind of support system because that was a big part of my life being saved. Times when Tasha said she would go pick the kids up for me. Shawnee don't have lunch money. Can you run it by there, Tasha? People in my life, that whole ecosystems I would be able to call on. Couples, the support system piece, even though I don't have it all figured out, I really want people to understand who they are, what they need, build these bridges to connect physically. Tasha's right. We do turn off our pain receptors. We're too resilient now. In a world where safety is an issue, we have to find the balance between opening ourselves up and not being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
The trespasses of our body start with the thoughts of our mind. If I could take everybody and walk them through the timeline of their life to show them their journey and their path was more beautiful than their thoughts allowed them to believe. The way in which we have comprehended and forced people to take on our thought system. That's a broken system too.
And it's so broken that we teach it for generations to come.
Yes.
And one of the things I discovered about myself is I didn't have a hard time being innovative. I didn't have a hard time adjusting to new things. I had a hard time unlearning things. I had a hard time understanding that I am not in survival anymore. I made this crazy analogy in my mind. I was like, dang, I can do hair pretty good. So like I'm a girly girl. But then I was like looking at somebody planting flowers and I'm like, but she's soft. You
and so
know,
now you sent this
it's a
vibration to
difference.
this human
She's
being
soft.
who doesn't even know you, and now she's trying to toughen up.
No, I
because
thought it
a
was
girly girl
no.
called her soft.
It was so beautiful because it symbolized something to me that I don't think people saw. Like, of course, I like the cuteness and the glam, but I have to deal with people. My stress level full of mess. I'm cussing you out. I mean, listen, honey, I'm gonna turn you every which way but loose. Let's let them know that God's still bringing me from where I was at. Hey, hallelujah. And so, with that being said, I look at her and I'm like, all she's out here doing is dealing with these plants in nature. She ain't had to worry about another soul. And look, she got her hair and she got edges. I mean, I'm serious.
Told me one time, called comparison is the thief of joy.
But the sad part is I wasn't comparing. I actually was congratulating. And that's one of the things that we don't see enough. We see people and we're like, oh, well, I'm right here in my life and she's right here in her life. And I need to be aspiring for what she, no, baby, I'm unique.
Yeah, I mean,